Hey teams, Lauren here with BizRock. In this week's video, I want to share with you the importance of having not just a regular leadership meeting with your full leadership team, but also how to structure that out. Like, what do you talk about? What's the agenda? What's the purpose of them? So hopefully you have an established leadership team. If you don't, please reach out to us and we can help you and we can guide you with that. But when it comes to having a leadership team, it's not enough to just give somebody the title of now you are the hygiene coordinator, the hygiene lead, you are the front office lead, you're the practice manager. It's not enough to just assign those titles for the sake of giving somebody titles. You really want to have purpose around it. You want to have a structured leadership team. You want to have people who come together, who rally around you, and they can talk through issues and solve things together. So that's the purpose of a leadership team, is to create camaraderie, culture in the office, connection, to build communication, to kind of get the entire team's voice heard. And so from a leadership team standpoint, you also want to make sure that you give your leadership team the best chance of success, which is having time together, having time aside from patient time where you can truly work on the business instead of having to work in the business constantly. So for my leadership teams, we really love to do at least a weekly leadership meeting. If you're like, guys, I can't commit to a weekly time, we'll wait until we can do weekly. Please don't. Start somewhere. Maybe you can commit once a month. Get that flow going, get established so that every single month you have that scheduled time together, and then move to every other week. Have that time scheduled together, get committed there, and then you can move to doing it on a weekly basis. And we'll share with you the importance of weekly, and once I kind of talk through the different topics that we cover, I think you'll understand really the purpose of having it every single week. Because in those weekly meetings, that's when you're able to truly come together as a leadership team, but also solve things together so they're not lingering. So for the agenda of a leadership meeting, if you've worked with us at any point in time, you know the power of positivity, and you know that we always like to start our meetings off on a positive note. If I've ever done a meeting with you, I always will say, hey, share with me something positive. Give me a win. Give me a team shout out. Well, your leadership meeting is not immune to that either. Your leadership meeting should absolutely start out on a positive. So you might say, all right, everybody share a professional win in the practice. Share with me something great that's happened, which maybe it's a patient story or a patient review. Maybe it's the fact that you've hired somebody new and you're growing and adding to your team, or maybe it's a goal that you guys recently achieved. It can be anything as long as it's positive, and try to keep it professional. The other thing that you could do if you're like, well, I want to brag on a team member, this is the perfect time to do so. Use that time for either a positive professional win or a team shout out. Brag on your team, especially if you're a growing organization or if you have multiple practices. Sometimes the owning doctor doesn't know who's really shining and going above and beyond. This is the perfect time to share with them. Hey, I want to brag on my team member, Susie. Susie, is our hygienist in this area, and she's amazing. One of the other hygienists called out, but Susie actually said, give me an assistant and I'll work out of 2 rooms. I'm not doing this every day, but I will do this today because I don't want us to lose those patients, or I don't want us to have to push those patients out. Guys, that's a shout out worth celebrating. That's pretty amazing. And so wherever you are in your practice, just make sure that you don't miss that opportunity to really start on a positive note before you jump right into that agenda. Once you get through the win or your team shout outs, then you'll want to look at what we call the scorecard. Your scorecard is the metrics that you're following in your practice, whether it's production, collections percentage, AR. AR is really important to look at and just kind of keep a pulse on it. Maybe it's new patients, active patients. One of our favorite ones to review, because most people don't pay attention to it, are the number of lost patients. How many patients are we losing out the back door, and what are we doing to get them back in? Ignorance is not bliss, it's ignorant, right? So you have to know what's happening in your practice. And how do you do that? You take a look at your scorecard. You look at metrics. You measure things. Now, what I will tell you is sometimes those scorecards become overwhelming, and you look over one day and you're like, oh my goodness, guys, we're measuring 22 different numbers every single week. Maybe we should dial it back. Our rule of thumb is try to pick about anywhere from 3 to 7. 3 to 7 that are the most important metrics in your business, and measure those. Can they change? Absolutely. Maybe for the first couple months, you're measuring case acceptance, because if you noticed that case acceptance is low, measure that. Once you get case acceptance where it needs to be, and you feel like it's moving fluidly and we're getting more yeses than nos, then move to something else. Maybe it's collections percentage or AR. Maybe it's call conversion. Whatever's most important for you. Here's what I would tell you. If you don't know what is most important for your practice or what you should be measuring, reach out to us. Go to bizrock.com, schedule a complimentary call, jump on a call with us, and our team can help you and guide you to know exactly what you should be measuring for your practice. So let's get back to the agenda. We said wins or a team shout out. We said the scorecard. Now we're moving on to projects. So projects in your office are anything that has a timeline to it, but also might take several weeks, months, or even a year to complete. Maybe the project is an expansion. So you're adding an additional operatory or two. You're purchasing another location. You're building a building. Those are massive projects. The project might be recruiting and hiring because you're growing and you need additional team members. The project could be dropping an insurance plan. Anything that is of importance that the leadership team needs to be in the loop on, multiple people have a handle on it, those should be brought up during that project time. Now, I always like to look at, okay, who owns it? Because if nobody owns it, well, then how could we hold them accountable? The other side is if everyone owns it, nobody owns it. So somebody has to own that project. That doesn't mean it needs to be all on them, but it does mean that they're going to have to be the coordinator of the project. Even if they have other people helping them, you still need somebody who can truly own that. So you want to cover, projects, who owns it, and really what are the next steps so that everybody is in the loop on that. From there, you want to jump into team and patient updates. Whenever I think about team and patient updates, I like to look at, have we had any new hires recently? Or temps, how are they doing? Does the whole leadership team know that our rock star new hire is doing a great job? Or that our new hire might not make the cut? Those are important things that everybody needs to be in the loop about. It might be, hey, we've got this team member, their 15th anniversary in our practice is coming up. What are we going to do for her? It's a special day. We want to make it a big celebration. Anything that's important that the whole leadership team needs to know about, that's team focused, this is where you would cover it. When I said patient updates, a patient update might be, hey, we had this issue with this patient. Here's how we solved it. We just need to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. So that's a negative example. A positive example might be, hey, we had this patient come in. They came in for a full upper and lower arch, and they were ecstatic. We asked them if they would come back in and do a video testimonial. So huge update. We're having a patient coming in the next few weeks, and we're going to do a video testimonial about their experience in our practice and how they're feeling about their smile. Guys, that's something awesome to celebrate. You should talk about that as a team and really roll out the red carpet for those patients. From there, guys, I know it happens in a dental practice, and sometimes we play firefighter all day, every day, and all throughout the week. Sometimes those things don't have to be handled in that moment. They might need to be handled during your leadership meeting. So the next part of the agenda is issues. This is where throughout the week, if something's not truly an emergency, put it on the issues list. Say maybe the practice manager owns this agenda. And so during the week, docs for you, give the office manager like, hey, can you add this to our agenda? This came up. I want to make sure that we solve it in this week's leadership meeting, or I want to solve it the next time we meet. That's where you start to collect all of the issues that arise. Again, these are only issues that you don't have to solve instantly on the spot. And if you do that, you'll stop feeling like you're playing firefighter every single day, and you'll feel like you can actually get through your day, serve your patients to the best of your ability. And then as a leadership team, you guys can solve all of the issues in the practice together. So throughout the week, you're putting issues on this issues list. Once you get to this section, you also say, hey guys, is there anything else? We've collected these issues throughout the week, but is there anything else that we need to solve today? And that's where you list them all out. And if it were me, I would prioritize. Sometimes those issues lists, I've seen them where there's like 20 different things, we've let it pile up. So start somewhere, right? Guys, if we only get through 3 things today, what are the 3 most important issues on this list that we absolutely must cover? And then solve them together. Talk about ways to make it better, to overcome it, to solve the issue, to handle it so that you guys can cross them off your list and keep moving forward. Last but not least is the team share section. The team share section, you may or may not know this, but your team is nosy. They mean well, right? But sometimes they're nosy and they're like, gosh, what are they meeting about? They have these meetings every single week. Like, what do they talk about? You might as well share with them. If there's something that impacts the entire practice or organization, share it with them. Whenever you leave that meeting, you might say, hey, we're moving forward with our building. We're still projected to open up the new space this time next month. A team share might be, hey guys, out of our meeting today, we've decided to drop this insurance plan. More information's coming. Please don't share with your patients just yet, but we are going to be dropping this plan and we're looking at this time in 6 months. Anything that you need to share with your team, you want to do so in that format, but you also want to do right after you finish up that meeting. That way the team's not whispering and gossiping in the office, wondering what you were meeting about. They actually feel like, okay, this, our leadership team, they meet and they share with us what's going on. We actually feel heard in the office. We feel like we've got a voice in the office, but we also know what's going on. For our BizRock clients that have the practice communication bulletin, if there's any changes that have come out during that leadership meeting that you might need to add to the practice bulletin, I would also do that then. So you send out an email to the whole team or group text. I know some of you over the years have said you do group me's or group text, or you do a mass email. But for the rest of you, for our BizRock clients, make sure you add any changes or new things that are happening. Put it on the practice bulletin. That way your team is completely in the loop on everything that's happening in your practice. So if this was helpful for you, if you're not a BizRock client, reach out to us. We'd love the opportunity to serve you. For the rest of you, we look forward to seeing you and serving you soon. Have a great day.